Hello, my name is Dan Johnson and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about the brand new Call Me Master box set entitled Monsters. Back in February we had the previous box set entitled Inner Demons that I did really enjoy. Something was missing though, I wasn't sure what it was at the time. But the first episode I wasn't a massive fan of, but the other two I really enjoyed. The Master swanning about in a theatre was really fun. I particularly enjoyed the third episode, which was so focused on his evil. And today we have three more episodes: The Craft of Corruption, The Ideal Quarry, and the third episode entitled Reformation. First episode was probably the weakest of the set for me. I love the location, and the idea of the Master being on a cruise liner is great, and also being the therapist is a fun concept as well. And the story follows the Master trying to escape a oppressive authority on this liner. There's a lovely companion character that I was really interested in where her story was going, and I like the way her character changes and develops during the story. No spoilers. But this is definitely the weakest one of the set. I think Sacha Dhawan really carries this one with some really beautiful speeches. There are moments where you feel that sort of tremble of, oh, he really is evil, isn't he? I know from the behind the scenes that he did a lot more improvisation of the lines, and I guess there's a lot you can play with when you play the Master, as you can really go up and down on each line and different words and stuff like that. And it's a very difficult thing to describe, but just the pattern of his speaking and that sort of silliness in his voice, where sometimes you'll slip into silly voices or almost disguises, I really enjoyed. He seems a lot more comfortable and a lot more assured of himself this time around, and it's just lovely to hear him playing with his character. Episode 2 is definitely the lightest of this box set. It has a Sontaran, as played by Dan Starkey, who is called Veg, I believe, and the Doctor takes him on as his companion, but really his plaything, and that's a really fun thing to explore. And because you have a Sontaran, the comedy comes from the silly things that Sontarans say, and of course Dan Starkey has beautiful line delivery. I also thought the villain of the episode was really good. There's a lot of meat on that character and a lot of things you can take from it. I think Jacqueline King plays the role really well with these growls, but also this human side too. I'm trying to dance around spoilers here, but I really enjoyed that story. And finally, episode 3 is a two-hander between Sacha Dhawan and Daisy Head. I think Daisy Head is doing a really good job here because she has to play so many roles within this episode. Not to mention that two-handers are really, really tricky to do because you've got to keep the pace going and you've got to keep that energy in the dialogue, but you only really have two people having a conversation. The most interesting thing about this story is that you see the Master vulnerable, and I think this is the first time in these sets where he's not on top. He is kind of squabbling and trying to work his way through this thing and thinking he's on top, but then he isn't, and that dynamic is really interesting to listen to. So finally, would I recommend this box set? And this time it is a certain yes. I really loved this one. I thought it was great fun. I enjoyed listening to all three stories. Now that Sacha Dhawan is more comfortable being in audio, I think it'd be really fun to put that to the test and to get him to do bigger arcs. For example, something along the lines of some of the early War Master box sets, where, you know, there was Anti-Genesis and Rage of the Time Lords and stuff like that. Would be quite fun to see his Master, because you can expand the characters a little bit more, the world can be more developed, and I think that does let down that first episode because you only have, I think it's about 70 minutes actually, but you have that 70 minutes and there's a lot to fit in, there's a lot going on in that story, and I think that a strong idea expanded out a little bit would be a lovely direction for him to go. But between the two box sets, if you're unsure which one to get, either Inner Demons or this one for certain. So thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you did enjoy this video. If you did, make sure you give it a like, subscribe if you are new. I have another Big Finish review later this week, which is the Ninth Doctor Adventures. It is called The Final Days of the Powerless State, I think. I'm really excited for that. I'm loving the Ninth Doctor so far, and I'm excited to see where it's going to go. Plus I love Earthbound stories. So until then, thank you very much for watching, and I shall see you soon. Goodbye.